There we go. You should be able to hear me better now. So you could do a number input, you can do a string input, you can do a true-false input, that's what Boolean means, and you can add a text label. You could run without screen refresh. This has to do with some of the animation that you see. So we want to do a number input. When you click OK, it then shows up a new block, and it has a name called jump, which we want to change if it's not there. And we want to change it from maybe from number 1 to something that makes sense. In our case, maybe how high or how big of a jump. So once you do that, you get this block here that you can now drag onto to define what how high really means. So when we're figuring out how high somebody jumps, they change their y value by how high, and then they wait 1 second, and then they're going to change the y value by a negative how high. So they want to go back down. Sorry, that should have been a negative how high. So we can make a variable called negative how high as opposed to how high right here. So instead of using the data how high, which you would drag right from here to get it in there, we want a negative how high, and we're going to calculate that. And it's going to be setting the negative how high to -1 times how high. So it's the opposite value. And then we're going to change y by negative how high. Feel free, you could do this operation right in here, -1 times how high, but I want you to really get the experience of working with a variable, so I'm asking you to do it this way. Set the negative how high by a variable by using the set command and doing some multiplication and changing the y value by that. Then every time somebody presses a key, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it actually jumps a certain height. So you're going to have to create a character and give them the ability to jump. Or if you don't want to do jumping, if you want to do dancing or something like that, make sure that you have the motion or whatever the object action is going back to the starting place. So that way where it starts is where it finishes. Otherwise, your character might get stuck somewhere in limbo. Maybe you had them jump and you forgot to bring them back down. That could be a problem. So feel free to add more than one block. You only have to add one, but feel free to add in more than one. This is a very useful thing when you're starting to program larger programs and more actions, being able to make a jump command for your character. So if we take a look at my example, which is linked in the project, I have a little ballerina here, and she jumps by how high. So when I did my more blocks, I was able to click on make a block, and you can see it comes up the same way. You have a little down arrow here to choose the options, which you have to click on, and we want to do an input there. We also want to be able to type in the variable name, so you would type in jump there, or the name of the function, and then the variable name will come up once I choose this. You see now I can type in the name of the function. So you got to add those two things into your function. Once it works, I'm going to click green, and then I'm going to type in a 1, and you can see she jumps up a little bit. And I type a 2. You can see she jumps a little bit more, 3, and then of course 4 gets her to jump really high. So your goal is to make your character jump. Feel free to add in animations to your character as they jump. Feel free to make your character do different other actions when they jump. Or if you don't want them to jump, maybe you want them to do something different. Maybe it's an arc jump, not just an up and down jump. So be creative. As always, come up with something special and submit it inside of Lesson 1 characters. So here's the link to the Character Studio, and of course the link to the assignment for you to submit your project. So have fun, and I'll see you next time.